but I don't know. I think they're left. Either they're being filtered or they left. So, anyway, so back to where I was, because I'm not even to your lifetime yet, which is crazy. So you were born, okay, into the order, and you were like a hope that had been okay. So I guess they were hoping for a child way before your mom turned 33. Okay, you're still here, Brianna. Okay, awesome, thank you. Um, I wanted the people that have never witnessed a past life before to witness this because this is a really cool one to witness for the first time. But Brianna, you've seen them before, right? You've been here for a long time. You've been around for a long time. So your mom was supposed to was prophesized to have a child by the time she was 33. It didn't happen. I think that there was like some type of miscarriage or something like that. So they had been prophesied that there would be a daughter born that was going to disrupt the whole entire patriarchy, the whole entire Catholicism, freaking burning of people that they don't understand because they have magic. One second. And you were that prophesized child. But when they didn't show up at 33 years old, they started freaking out, because they're like, oh my God, they were prophesied to da 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 da. And when they found out that the child had passed, they like were really let down, especially since your sister, like I don't know if not your sister, your mother's sister, especially since her sister was like not doing very well in her castle or in her family that she was infiltrating. Um, they were really concerned that the bloodline would not be fulfilled that in that lifetime because they had to have blood from the pure bloodline from the papist. So when you were born, oh my gosh, was there a freaking party? I mean, like, this is so cool. The music that they had like these drums that were made out of deer skin, like hide, and they had like these beads that were made out of like they would take so say they would take like a deer antler like this, right? But they would cut it into little bitty pieces and then they had like holes drilled in it and it was like I don't know how to explain it. It was like they were on strings and then they like did some like a thing and it was really cool sounding. Like I don't know how to really describe it. Um I wonder if I can make this sound. And there was like one little one that had a handle on it and it had the strings and it would hit. They would go like this and it would hit like that. Like it would shake, like it sound like popcorn, little popcorn kernels inside the bottle, like shaking like that kind of, I guess you could say. And always barefoot, you guys dressed in like these like purity robes or something like that. Like the more light colored you wore, the more higher up you were in the priestess level, or something like that. So when you were born, you were like they like had a huge like you were just the biggest deal there in like a long time because again they had gotten so discouraged because the prophecies are never like wrong. Okay, you had multiple like everyone was a seer, but there was like a main seer that was really really ancient, and she wasn't just a seer; she was somebody that could I think that it was through blood. Like it's like she would prick the finger and where does it go? Here or here? And when she did that, her eyes would roll back in her head and she would be like, and she would see a whole freaking thing of the future, like the whole entire lifetime. Like she could see what was going to happen to them, when they were going to die, if they were a danger to everybody. And you guys had to go through the seer in order to even be allowed in. And sometimes it would happen as a baby or sometimes it would happen as like a 5-year-old, but you always had to go through the seer in order for them to feel safe because they needed to make sure that nobody was going to rebel and like go in the wrong direction or turn evil because of course there's evil everywhere, you know what I mean? And there was a few that had to be watched for, that had to be raised up in a specific way for a specific thing that didn't allow them to do evil things to anybody. But that was definitely there was none of them in your time. There was none of them in your time. okay, because you can go dark, right? But you guys were against that, really. Unless if you had to protect your own, you were against that. You didn't do any harm to anybody aside from protecting your own. Like I said, they would protect their own at all costs. Unless if their own did something wrong. But if it was an innocent person or child that was magical, yeah, fuck around and find out. For real. Like they did not play. Which is probably why the people were scared. But again, it was right. It was just. You were doing what was right. Okay. And you guys knew there was some type of, I almost feel like all of the knowledge was passed down through song, some type of song. Was there writing? Oh wow, that's so fucking, no fucking way. Dude, this is crazy. Y'all are gonna think I'm making this shit right the fuck up because I'm not even using these cards. I was supposed to use the cards, but I'm channeling all the way. But either way, it's because it doesn't matter. So yeah, that's why it says peacemaker here and it's on other because y'all were peacemaker. Like your mother was a peacemaker, or you were, but not in the way that you would think. It wasn't because you were a pacifist or anything like that. It was because you kept the peace by y'all not thinking something worse was coming, or you telling the people that lived in the castle that it wasn't y'all, the magical people, or like redirecting it. Like y'all prevented a whole bunch of shit from happening because again, you guys were prophets or seers, prophetics. You guys were very prophetic. And dreams and waking times, like you guys could just see shit. So I see you. Okay, so your birth is like amazing, and there's like, wow. Okay, I was about to tell you about the tree that holds the knowledge, but they want me to show this. Okay, remember how I said there was like a main sacred ground? It was like a little bit away from y'all's main village or whatever. You couldn't live there because it would mess up the energy. The energy was only supposed to go there at your own. You have to be pure to walk into this stone structure thing. It was open, but there was stones placed, like big, huge rocks formations, like standing in like a circle, right? And some on the ground, or like I don't know. It's kind of like there's grass in between like rock plates on the ground, like some type of symbol or like a labyrinth, but not a labyrinth. It was like it kind of looked like a Celtic something. I mean, it would kind of be like this, but like circular. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, kind of more like this. And like the stones were up here like this, and this was flat on the ground. And but it's not in a triangle, it's in a circle, like something like that. Okay, and and it was ancient, like beyond ancient, like before, like since beyond this humanity was created, before the last flood, probably before that, probably since forever. Um, and your birth was, you were born in the freaking thing. That was the first time it ever happened. That So again, you were the first one to be prophesized on such a grand scale. You guys were waiting for this child to be born because they were going to turn the tides of them having to hide in fear and be hunted down. Okay, because you guys would go out into the fields to get herbs and stuff, and you would be hunted down and killed. Like that's how scared these people were. So that's why you guys had to use the ravens to fly above, to scry, to see if there was anybody around. But again, there were so many people that were dedicated to hunting you guys down that they would lay, or they would, they weren't dumb. Like they were trying to actively hunt you guys down. And so they knew, like as a ritual, every season you guys had season gatherings where you would gather certain things up, okay, certain herbs up that would only come that season, and they knew that that was the time that you did that, and they would hunt your young folk down, the girls, like the teenagers and stuff, and they would not only unalive them, they would grape them, okay, like brutally. um so then of course you'd have to go and kill, unalive them, and then it would be like, oh, the witches are killing everybody, blah blah blah, you know what I mean? So not little did they know that they done raped a little girl. So, and because they don't know who's in y'all society, that you can't say, oh, well, this girl was this done to her, because y'all society is secret. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to know about y'all. But there's like families from the villages that had specific grievances with y'all. Like maybe their father was taken, or maybe a child was taken and they blamed you. So they literally had so much anger and rage towards you that they would purposely like get y'all, you know? So, you being prophesied to be born was a change in that. It was going to be the disruptor of that, and it was no longer going to be that way. Um, so you were born inside the sacred stone temple thing, and that is very rare. That's never happened before. That as far as y'all's lineage, like the ones that had been alive at that time, they had never known. But there was scripture or like writing or like some type of knowledge that was being kept within a living tree that I'm going to tell you about it. Okay, so about like 3 weeks ago, or not even, no, it was like last week. I was meditating in my mama tree. I'm sure you've seen my mama tree. If you haven't, go check it out on my page. She's got a limb that I've always laid on my whole life, and I've just meditated up there and stuff. I was laying on the limb, and I was just like looking up, and I decided to close my eyes. And when I closed my eyes, my body fell into the limb. The limb is bigger than me. I fell into the limb, and it was a slide. It was hollow, and I slid down into the middle of the tree. Now, the middle of the tree is this. It's bigger than the actual tree itself. So it wasn't. It was some type of an energetic room, but it was tangible. It was wood on the outside. It was a huge room inside the tree. You could see like the inside of the room wall. It was perfectly circle, but like kind of you could see the tree. It was like what the outside of the tree looks like, but on the inside growing like this in a circle. And there was a beautiful like wooden table, like a cypress table in the middle that was like in a round, but it had like little things that came out like this. And then it had doors all the way around it. And I'm not allowed to tell you what's in the doors or anything like that. Okay, they're letting me tell you about the only door I went in. So I fell down in there and I was like, where the fuck am I at? Like, what just happened? And the mama tree doesn't really talk to me. Okay, she's only talked to me like 3 times. The first time I ever heard her actually talk to me, aside from when I was a child, probably, I don't know if I was making that up, if she actually was, but was when I had been left and I had not lived here and I came back home. And she was like, finally, I've been waiting for you. So she said that. And then the only other time she said anything to me was when I was meditating out there with Devin. Devin, just on the phone, he wasn't in real life. And he spoke to her. He spoke to me, to her, to him, to tell him something. Um, and then that was it. Now, this time was the third time she had ever spoken to me. And she said, I've been waiting for this moment. I'm here to tell you all that I know, all the wisdom that I carry. And flashes of times, like my actual property and how long it had been there. She said that the tree herself is like 275 years old or something like that, which is insanely old for, I think, any tree, I guess. I don't know. And she's like, but no, I'm not just that old. She's like, I am millions of years old. Like I am beyond years old. Like even before this land, Florida, was even a land. It was under the sea. I'm like, how? If this land was under the sea, how are you a tree in the sand? And she said, no, I am not just this tree. I am a traveling spirit, or what did she call herself? Almost like a deity. And what's crazy about that is that I looked up camphor trees, and in China or Korea or something like that, they believe that these trees have a spirit inside of them, and they have them in like worshiped areas, and they put like this beautiful rope thing around them, and they talk to them and they worship them, and they get knowledge from them and stuff. So when I found that out after she had told me all this, I was like freaking mind blown. I was so mind blown. But anyway, she said that she will start as a seedling and she will stand with the tree until it's ready to die off. And then her essence goes through the roots that are intertwined with all the trees. It's a whole entire underground thing, which is crazy why I got this deck. Because this deck talks about trees the way that she showed me. So I have to pull one of those for you too, especially since all this is happening. But anyway, it held there was doors. And so I'm like, after she told me that she had been from tree to tree to tree or whatever, and she showed me all these times, like, I mean, like billions of timelines just passed through me of how ancient this tree was. I mean, like, she was like one of the first seated beings when Earth was created and had made it through all of the resets and the floods and like all of the wiping out of humanity and then again and then wiping out of humanity and then again. I saw this again and again and again. I saw all of it and I was mind blown. And she was like, okay, that's what you need to know. And then she left me alone and I'm quiet in this room and I see this one door and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I got to go in that door. I went into the door like wearily, but I went in and all I see is these green. Is this the same fucking land? I'm gonna ship this. If this is the same land, I'm gonna lose it. Is the land that I went through in that door the same land that I'm channeling right now for Kim's past life? Um, Holy shit. Yeah. Dude, this is freaking crazy. Look. 15, comet, a sign of fate, harbinger of change. And look, asteroid. Wow. Okay, this is so freaking crazy. When I went in, I saw this beautiful, like bright green rolling hills. Okay. And when I walked through the door, a little girl was standing there. Princess, princess, we've been waiting. And I was like, princess, I'm still like remembering my own self, Miranda, you know what I mean? So I'm like, and I turn around and I look back and it's this beautiful stone door with like vines or like this. Is that jasmine? Some type of vines growing on the sides of this stone door. And I thought, but as soon as the door shut, my wings came out, which is a whole nother story. I know I've had those for like a month now. I got this anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going way too far into it. I had wings on and I was wearing this like beautiful like leaf shirt thingy and like a leaf skirt thingy kind of, but it wasn't like Tinkerbell or anything like that. It was different. It was real and the bottoms was made out of like ferns, but there was something harder underneath it or deep like thicker like underneath it. And I was barefoot and I was real little, like skinnier than I am now. And like I had pointy ears, like literally I had pointy ears. And I look over and I see this stone castle way off in the distance. And I knew that there was something in there or somebody in there that I needed to see. And so I go running and then I saw all of a sudden as I go, like I'm going to go towards it, I saw a man. And as soon as I saw him, I instantly knew like, and I like ran to the point where I was like half flying and running towards this man and I ran into his arms and like I ran into his arms so much that like he ended up spinning around and I almost knocked him down and he was like, you finally made it. Took you longer this time. So it's like I did this, I've done this in multiple lifetimes where I went through this portal door into this fairyland, which is crazy because now remember when I said that people thought you were the fairies. So freaking wild. And maybe that's why you have this connection to animals because the birds were aspects of they were familiars. Like y'all were not straight humans. You know, like I'm saying, y'all, I don't see you having wings or anything like that, but this is the same land. But okay, this is the land before, okay, this is way before y'all ever got there. Y'all are I was your ancestor. This is because this was back when there was nothing but magic. We lived in the castle. We lived in the castle. There was no other beings that weren't magical. It was like the magical beings were the rulers, not the other way around. And it was beautiful and everything was fun and like the energy was so pure and bright and like just like magical. It was insane. And I was like, took me longer this time, and I was like, okay. And then all I remember was like, okay, I need to go back. And then all of a sudden, I don't even remember going back in the door. I was just like, I was back in the room. And so then I was like, okay, I need to mark this door. And so I put a frog above it, and I put a number 1 on it, on the door. But I put a frog, like a tree frog is what I put on top of the door. And the reason why I put a tree frog, I think, is because like a month ago, we had freaking like 5 tree frogs jumping around in our house. Like a whole, like Trenton came in and running in. He's like, Mom, there's a tree frog in the sink in the bathroom. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe it could have gotten in. Our house was built in 1913, so it could have been gotten in one of the holes or something like that. I don't know. They come in when it rains. It was raining. But then I'm like, no, they don't, because a tree frog has to be in the rain. Like, in order for it to stay alive, it's got to stay wet. Why would it come in from the rain? Well, this happened because when this all stuff started happening, I was creating portals and didn't know what the hell I was doing and didn't even know I was doing it. If it weren't for Kayla channeling it or dreaming about me opening the portal, then I would have never known, and I would have never known to close it, and all this other stuff would have never happened. So I was magically doing shit that I didn't know I was doing by doing past lives. It started with the past life. I had this intention that I wasn't supposed to pull a bunch of cards. I was supposed to just pull one card. And then that one card, I was just supposed to look at that one card, and I was going to channel the whole thing and just let it pour out. Before, I used to spend a lot of energy trying to piece the puzzle pieces together, and it was exhausting. Like, it took too much energy from me. So they were like, okay, things are going to be different now. You're not going to do it that way anymore. That's how this whole entire thing started, with me doing jumping timelines and going through portals and going through the veil. All of that started by this one past life I did, and it was completely mundane. There was nothing magical or cool about the past life at all, which is weird. But anyway, so there was that one happened, and then he was like, yeah, look, now it's above your door. And I didn't really believe him, well, I did, but I didn't think it was nothing. And then I look, and I'm like, he's like hanging out on top of my door. I'm like, what is that? That's cool. Okay, whatever. It's just a tree frog. Then like 5 minutes later, he goes, ah, and he comes in the room, and he's like, Mom, it jumped on my foot. It landed on my foot from the ceiling, and went from the ceiling, went on his foot, and it scared the shit out of him. And I was like, no, it didn't. Shut the front door. I'm like, where? Show me where. Because there's no way there's 2 tree frogs. And because the one was still hanging on my door. So it wasn't that one. Like, there's no way there's 2 tree frogs in the house, and one jumped from the ceiling onto his foot. Like, come on now. And so I went out there, and sure the heck enough, I have the videos to prove it. Sure enough. And they just told me I have to show you. There is a tree frog jumping all over the living room. And then there's another one jumping all over the living room. And then I had another one come in here into my room and he was patrolling my room. He would go do 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 all the way back around like this, to the point I ended up having to get him some water, and I had to spray water on him because he would try to get on my wall and he'd fall down because he had no water left on him, which means he wasn't coming in to get out of the freaking rain. He was like not doing good in here. So that being said, I instantly knew. That's when I found out I had any type of fairy anything. I had some type of connection to the fairy realms, and I had opened up a portal to the fairy realms, and these frogs were some type of protecting force field that they were doing, hopping around everywhere onto us to keep something that was outside trying to come in. This is before I had learned to put up wards around my house. So that's why I drew the frog above the door. So if you see tree frogs, listen. Because you're obviously connected to the fairies like I was. This is just so crazy right now. Like, I can't believe this is all adding up together. Like, crazy, crazy, crazy. But that's how, like, look here. Okay, look. So here's the one that was hanging out on my door, above my door, right? Cute little guy. Okay, so that's the one above my door. Okay, then, whoops. It's not lying, bro. Look at frogs are raining in our house. Hey, little dude. Oh, it's got some big old suckers. Getting back up in there, then it gets crazier. We're doing, huh? We're doing, no dude. It straight fell on his foot from the roof. Hey, you have a tree frog thing? Oh, where'd he go? That was a far ass jump, bro. Where'd he go? I don't know. There he is. Bro. Becky, you want to go outside? No, he's taking a nap now. His feet is all falling in. You have a tree frog thing? Dude. Oh. And you know, like how I'm connected to dolphins too, it all added up, dude. But this is a picture of when this whole thing happened this night. This is a picture. I'm like, oh wait, I drew this for my mom a while ago. It says 2019. I drew this picture for my mom, but look, it's a freaking fairy with the dolphin. And then I realized the first oracle deck I had ever bought was the fairy tarot. So it's like all this stuff is like coming about, and it's just crazy. And my favorite movie when I was little was Ferngully, but I didn't even think I had any connection to fairies or anything like that until this night with the frogs and everything. So that land was connected to the portal that I had opened when the frogs were in here hopping around and shit protecting us. Because back in that day when I went through the portal in the tree, there was some other type of dark fairy, like a dark fairy that would try to come back into mine because they remember who I am now in this lifetime. Because I'm like some type of warrior princess or something like that came here to do something for the fairy lands in that other place, in that other realm. So you are literally that same bloodline that we were like royalty. Remember I kept saying you guys were like royalty, but like you were worshipped, but you weren't like royalty because it's not like you had like a freaking throne and shit, but you were royalty. You are our freaking we are your ancestors. Like you are our bloodline in this past life, which is the life that you just lived before you're born now. That is insane. I could be like your great grandmama or something. I don't know, dude. This is so crazy. Okay, whatever. So I just had to tell you all that. So you're growing up, right? You were born inside the temple place, which was magical, okay? And that temple place was there. Went like back into my time. Remember how I said it was like ancient? It was there. Maybe we made it, or it was formated there, like because we were even more magical then. The whole land was magical back then. And then I was going to tell you this too, the tree. So there is this tree there, which maybe this tree's connected to that tree. That's why it's connected. There was a tree there that held your knowledge because I was asking, how is your knowledge passed down? And they showed me through song and stories. But I said, wasn't there like written language or something, or like written something? And they said, well, yes, but living scrolls, like living written knowledge. And I'm like, how? And they showed me the tree, and they showed me like this elderly woman that could go like this, and the tree opened like a freaking curtain, and you went in on the ground, like you were standing on the ground, and you went in, and inside there was like torches, and there was three beings in there, or three women or people, no, one man and two women, that was in charge of storing this knowledge and gathering the knowledge from all of the different people, fairies, all of the different magical people, that it was just this one tree. Remember how I told you like at the beginning where once a year there was like a festival thing where like all the different magical communities from like days away would come and meet at this special place, this sacred place, this temple thing. The tree is right near the temple place, and they would go in there for like 3 days and 3 nights, and they would input their information out of their bodies, not speak it, but do some type of energy transfer where they would transfer it into the tree. And when I see the scrolls, they're not like written out scrolls. It's like a stick, and the stick has like symbols on it, and they hold it, and it's like Oh, remember the seer thing? The seer, old seer lady I told you, how there's like one seer for each place that has the prophecies and stuff? That's the person that has to go into the tree to give the stick the knowledge. The seer lady or man goes in there and they sit for 3 days, 3 nights like this and holds it, and it's like lighting up green and blue, and it's like pulsating, and it's pulsating through the top of the thing where she's holding it, and it goes into the ground, and then it goes into the ground and it goes up inside the tree. This is freaking crazy. Like, this is so freaking insane right now. Are you believing me? I hope you're believing me, because this shit isn't, I'm not even making this shit up, y'all. Wow, that's so cool. So you grow up this magical daughter of like that was prophesized to help everybody like change the world type of thing. So you are raised there, fully there. You don't go out until you're trained. You go through this magical training. You start learning how to sense everything when you were a baby. Like they teach you from a newborn how to use your psychic senses before you even freaking know how to talk. Like your telepathy is the first thing they teach you, and your familiar comes when you're like 5. And you had a more magical familiar than the other people do with the ravens. I see deer. I see a deer. But what it's giving is that deer that I don't know if you've seen those new cards I got. I was actually thinking this is so crazy. When I was getting these cards out and like trying to look to see what cards I was going to use, there's these 2 new decks that I got. I spent quite a bit of money on them. That were the same people that made my dragon deck. Her name's Britta. Wait, I wonder if she's from the same place or not. If she's from Scotland or not. Her name's Britta Bauman. Yeah, Britta Bauman. One's called the Enchanted Forest, and the other one's called the Fairylands. Fairylands. And I was about to get those out, but I'm like, how could they work for a past? How could I use those for a past life? That didn't make any sense. So I freaking second guessed myself and didn't get them out. But this is all just how much it's all freaking adding up together. So there is a I have been super connected to this ancient white stag, like this huge. It's like a magical being. It's not a deer. You don't kill it or anything. It's a stag, a buck, but it's like an ancient one, and it's really old. And in this card, it's standing near this like ancient um rock formation, like temple thing. Oh my god, this is so crazy how this is. That's kind of pretty. That's not the one I'm talking about, but yeah, I still wanted to show you that though. Wait, is it in this one or is it in the other one? It actually might be in the other one. I think it is. We're gonna see real quick. And we are definitely gonna pull cards out of here. This is so wild. And they just told me to say that fairy tales are not everything that is in mythology comes from some truth. It's not made up shit. They just made up so that way we wouldn't believe in magic anymore. We wouldn't believe in our own power and our own magic abilities. Yeah, I think it's in the other deck. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. So anyway, I am definitely gonna pull a card out of there though. So anyway, when I saw you being born in the temple, I saw this white stag walk up and bow to you. Look, Fey birth, immediate shifts, flow, and life force. Like it was so magical. Like everyone from all around came to see the birth. They couldn't go into the temple, but they were standing outside of it. And that's when this huge white stag came up, and he came into the temple, and bowed to you. And everyone was like, oh, because it was a stag that only specific, like, it was told down through stories. Like, the people of y'all's time had never even seen it before. It only appeared to specific beings, to specific people that had a very, very, very sacred mission. It's 12:21. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah, look, here it is. Sacred guardian, encouragement, hope, and nourishment. And look, he's standing on this. Oh my God, dude. Look, this is how it was, the ground. Look at this. Sacred guardian. He was your sacred guardian. This was your familiar, but it was like to prove how special you were. Like beyond. And what's crazy is that I've always been connected to a white stag. Maybe he was with me when I was there before, when I was living that lifetime. Because when I did Kayla's, when me and her did her, I'm gonna leave this out. When me and her did her, what you call it? When she was not integrated, accepted into this, how do you say it? What's the word for that? It's where you're brought into something sacred. When that happened, 4 white deer on each corner, north, east, south, and west, came, and they bowed the same way with one leg down, like bent like that, and put their head to the floor, like saying, "You are welcomed in now. Like you are brought in." Initiation, her initiation. And the crows were flying above and then owls were talking. Wow. Okay. Anyway, I'm getting off subject. So, this I didn't even, and I never saw this before until, like, again, right around when this portal stuff started happening is when I started seeing this white stag. And it was a magical being it lived forever. It never died. No one could even kill it, even if they wanted to. But the people of the place did try to, like people from back in the time, like the evil, like, or the dark fae or whatever, fairies or whatever they were, or whatever beings that the frogs were trying to protect me from, they did try to take it out because there was sacred animal deities that would keep the light, that would keep bringing the light. Oh, you're good. I know you didn't. So when I'm done with this past life, yes. Anyway, because I gotta finish this. So when that happened and everyone saw that, it was like you were like worshipped like a god. Like you were like praised. Everyone like knelt down on the ground and was like putting their head down to the ground and like just like that, like in all of you. And you grow up and it was kind of a really strict thing, but you loved it. Like you lived for everything that you were supposed to do, right? Well, by the time you turned 15, it was your turn, it was your time, and you were a warrior. I mean, like you were this gorgeous, beautiful, you had beautiful red hair with really pretty green eyes. And you were white, like you were pale, a little bit paler, probably paler than me, maybe. No, maybe yeah, you're a little bit whiter than me. And you just had like this flawless body, like you were very strong, and like you had just been working your whole life with your magic. What is this that you had here? You had some type of special magic. No fucking way. You could compel people. How is that? Like a vampire? You had okay, your eyes had uh some type of special magic within your eyes. If you looked at somebody in the eyes without speaking, you could push information or some type of knowing into their eyes, and then they would believe everything you said, or they would do what you told them to do without talking. So that's how you got away from it. You moved into the castle, okay? You went in, under the guise of a woman that was going to marry the person in line, the next person in line, the brother, a brother, not your mom's brother, not the one that was your father, but the line that came after him. I think that your father didn't end up actually taking the seats. No, he didn't. He did, because that's how you were illegitimate. So I think that maybe y'all were going to try to have you take, no. So it was something like you weren't meant to take a royal seat as his child on the throne. Like, you guys considered it, but it was not supposed to be that way, because you weren't supposed to know, they weren't supposed to know that you were born into, like, the cat. Like, no one knew that you were born from him. Like, that was your father. So you portrayed another, like, another family that was supposed to bring in, okay, the communications is what happened. So there was communications from you into another household. That's why the sister was at the other household, because she was supposed to send a woman. They had to marry each other through these different households, because they couldn't all just keep marrying brothers and sisters. So the other household's purpose was to send over a princess to marry into that line, into that bloodline. They were like cousins. The two chiefs were cousins on there, or brothers. It started out with brothers, two brothers having two different castles, and then they ended up being cousins by the time your time came in. So they had never seen the woman, okay, and there was no princess to be brought. Okay, that house over there was in all kinds of disruption. Like, they were just fighting and, like, going down the wrong road. They weren't even trying to stay the way that they were supposed to be doing things. They were, like, really upset and mad because they didn't have a girl. Like, there was something about it. If they didn't have specific lineages, then theirs would die off, and they were pissed off about that. But your aunt was passing information back and forth, saying that there was a child born, and that she was going to be the princess, and she was going to be betrothed to one of your brother. It was like a stepbrother or something like that. Yeah, like a stepbrother. Your dad ended up having a wife with kids, like, either before you were born or at the same time that you were born. She was a younger woman, and your mom was cool with that because she had already had you. She was already, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not stopping my past life reading to do a reading, sweetie. Unless if you're paying for it. If you're talking about a paid reading, then yes, I can do a paid reading right now, and I will stop this channel. But yeah, I can't stop a reading to do a question or anything like that. But if you're trying to do a paid reading, then yes, I will. And I can't tell you how long this is going to take. It's probably coming to a close right now, but I can't promise you anything. I don't know. I'm just channeling it, and it needs to come out. So, you were sent in at 15 years old, okay, knowing, having all this training, know exactly what you were going to do, and she, like, you were just really alluring and beautiful, but when you looked in the eyes, you could convince them things and make them know things, like, or tell them things, or, like, make them believe everything that you said. And you were trying to convert them from being papists to understanding herbs and, like, stuff like that. Like, you were trying to dismantle, like, you were causing them to fight each other, to go against each other in order to dismantle this religious group. And at the same time, there was already fights, and they were already scared because they were going against the English that were coming in, and the English were trying to convert everybody from Catholicism to not Catholicism, whatever they're called. I forgot what they're called when you're not a Catholic, not Catholics, but whatever the other one was called. So you use that to your advantage, and you cause them to take out the most prominent leaders in the whole entire community, and at the same time going against the British at the same, or the English people at the same time. Like, they weren't being able to infiltrate the castle and stuff like that. Now, there was a separate place that was for all of the people to meet. It was a huge town. That was not how y'all lived. You lived in the castle was just at one place, and then the villages outside of the highlands came in and worked with them, but they weren't with them all the time. Now, this town was like a couple hours away, and they had a huge church there, a Catholic church, and a judge, and they had like trials there, and they did witch trials there, right? You were trying to save a young girl from getting burnt at the stake, okay? And somehow or another, you went against your duties because you weren't supposed to be doing and playing in little stuff like that. There was other people that were meant to do that. But this one girl had gotten herself in a situation where y'all's people could not get her out of it. Like there was nothing y'all could do without exposing yourselves. And she was your friend. She was your friend. You met her like picking herbs out in the garden area, and you saw what she was picking, and it was poison. Like it was something that was poisonous. And she's like, well, and you're like, well, what are you doing with that? And she's like, oh, I have a problem at home. And she's like, is it like a man problem? Or that's what you said. Is it like a man problem? And she had her hood up, and she was like, I'm not going to kill anybody. Da, da, da. And you're like, look at me. And you pick up her chin like this, and you're like, look at me. And her whole side of her face was black and purple and like swollen out like this. I mean, her freaking eye bone had to be completely shattered, and her eye was like swollen shut. I don't even know if she had an eye in there anymore. And her like skull was cracked right here. Now this girl had come from some type of witch lineage outside of y'all's thing. Like it was probably the neighboring witch people, that came to meet them and stuff. And you immediately saw red. Like you were very, very loving and kind, but you were not, like you were going to take people out. Like you did not care. Like you were going to come and you were going to do your damn job and you were going to make this happen. Like you had so much pressure on yourself to make this shit stop. And you saw red with her, and you're like, here, give this small doses every day. Don't just go and give blah, blah, blah. You told her what to do, right? Well, and you would send your raven. You had a raven. You would send your raven to follow her, to watch her, make sure that nobody messed with her and shit. But she was the wife of like, not a judge, but somebody that was like somebody that was inside the power thing. Like he had some type of power, like some type of law. Not the lawyer, but maybe something to do with money. And he was abusing her and abusing like beyond just the hitting. Like it was way worse than that. She couldn't have any friends. She couldn't talk to anybody. The only reason why she was even able to go out to that one, because your garden is the only place that had anything like that. They couldn't have it anywhere else. So you had her followed with like you. What was that? Oh, that was my rune. Anyway, you watched over her and stuff. And because y'all's castle was like the ruling castle out of like all of the big people and stuff like that, you guys had like parties and stuff like that, or like some type of gatherings or something like that where people would come and sing and stories would be told and stuff like that. And so you would get to see her for that only, I think. But you got news that there was a trial going on inside the town, right? And you sent your raven to tell your aunt, which raised you. And I don't know what happened. Your mother's still. What happened to your mom? Your mom might have passed. Your mom passed in childbirth. Holy crap. Look, spirit bonds, connection, destiny, and trust. Bonds between you and the animal. Anyway, and then this says realm of magic, and it says entering, invitation, and unexpected. Anyway, your mom passed in childbirth, but she knew that was going to happen. It was prophesized to happen whenever they saw the baby being born. That's why when the baby died and your mom didn't, that's why they were like freaking out, thinking that she had did something wrong or that something happened and that she failed. So that's why she was so adamant on getting pregnant for you. So your mom was not around or anything like that. So you sent the raven to your aunt to let her know what was happening and asked if she could send somebody to go save her. And she said, we know about this. There's not much we can do. She's too deeply in, because they had her inside, like she was already taken prisoner. Okay. And it wasn't, she didn't even get to unalive her husband yet. She had been like doing it a little bit every day, but, it, somebody had told on her. Maybe she confided in a friend or something like that, or somebody overheard her doing something or saying some type of magical thing or something like that, or was jealous of her. I don't even know if they really thought that she was magical or anything like that, but they said she was a witch, right? Like they claimed that she was a witch. So they had her kept away somewhere and on guard at all times, and there was nothing anybody could do to save her. Only you could, because you're the only one that had this compelling thing where you could like go in and compel people to think that you were something. You could make them see you as somebody that you weren't. So you could show up as like an old lady or something. Like there was a way that you could like project a different energy out of your body towards these other people, and they would see who you wanted them to see. But that was a very advanced part of your skills that you hadn't really perfected yet. I think you were only like 18 years old at this time. You were meant to stay way longer than that and go do more than what you had already done. Okay, you'd already caused strife in between the families and against the two religions. Go to bed. You took the melatonin, right? Yeah. So when you heard back that there was nothing that they could do, you disobeyed them and you went anyway. And you were like, okay, that's fine. I'll just show up as somebody else, as like a lawyer or something, and I will get her out of this. You know what I mean? Like I'll prove that she's not, or I'll show up as a priest or something like that. But the rage that you had when you saw because okay, so you made it into some type of jail, right? And you were like, I need to see her now, and da 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 da, and they were like, okay, yeah. So you look like the man or whatever you look like, and they let you through, and you go, and there's like bars and stuff in this like gross, nasty, wet cell. And she was like barely even alive, barely. And she was on the ground, and there was like rats, like munching on her feet. And when that happened, you had this full body freaking rage through you. You changed back to who you truly were, and you shook the whole freaking building. The whole rock building shook, and the freaking earth cracked open, dude. And instantly they were like, witch, witch. And then that you were freaking rounded up and you were shackled, and you had like these shackles put on you that had some type of metal that kept you from being able to channel your magic. And then there was nothing your family could do to come get you out. And the whole entire thing that you were supposed to do crumbled, and you were. How much longer? I'm almost done. This is the end of it now. And when this happened, and this happened, you prophesied something. Like you said, y'all have no idea, like the shit that I'm gonna do. Like y'all fucked up. Because when I come back, I will come back to destroy you, or something like that. And you were literally burned. And then they did something with your ashes, and I can't figure out what it is. They were so scared of you because of what you did that they even did like they took like three measures, three freaking steps. And then it messed everything up, because then they found out that they saw who you were, and they were like, that's the freaking princess, or the queen or whatever of that house. So all of the magical people that were infiltrated in the house, even the old lady that had been there for eons, had to run out into the forest and go be by themselves. Like they lost their connection into the thing. So you have some type of like witch wound where you feel like you failed your people. And that your sacred rage ruined a whole big prophecy that you were meant to do. So maybe there's like a thing where you are scared to rebel, or you're scared to like you may have like some type of something in this lifetime where you're like, I won't speak out again, or I won't do that again because look what happened last time. But at the same time, you had this like inner strength within yourself that you didn't let somebody suffer that was not deserving. You know what I'm saying? Like you were proud of yourself at the same time, you know? Okay. Yeah. Let me get a card for her for this, for a closing message. Wow, look at that. I saw that card earlier. We have fairy ring, health improvement and bliss. And then we have realm of magic, entering invitation and unexpected. So you're being asked to come entering into it unexpected. So maybe I'm supposed to bring you back into that realm and you're supposed to heal this part within you. So, let me know if you're interested in doing that and I'll take you in there and you can figure out whatever happens when we get there. I don't know. I guess I could charge by the hour. I don't know. I'll see if I can come up with a price for that. I don't know how much I would charge for that. Yeah, divine kinship, instinct, embodiment, mirroring wisdom. Hey Becky, you just missed a really cool freaking past life reading, dude. Like really cool. You could have a connection to owls too, because that's the second time it drew me to the owl. Let me get a message for her from here about this. Life source. When life comes to a standstill, turn inward and focus on joy and excitement. Your inner light keeps everything alive and moving. And then it's coming and no problem. You are not meant to struggle. Yeah, it's like you're making yourself struggle in this lifetime. Yeah, no pressure. Like you don't owe anything to this lifetime. You're not meant to struggle and fight your way through. Drop the concerns of your ego to watch imaginary walls crumble away. You've already won. And then we have it's coming. Hope is on the horizon. In the face of challenges, remember that nothing lasts forever. Trust that the universe has good things in store for you. You're good. I'm going to post it because this was the most magical freaking reading. I can't even explain to you how much. I'm not even going to try to go in there. And then no pressure. When you want more, don't push yourself to others or others to get more. Give more of the pure, genuine self, and life will immediately and effortlessly match it. So yeah, you need to simplify your life. Yeah, look, simplify life. Life is meant to be simple and easy. Don't let superficial energies distract you from your true essence. Simplicity and purity will lift your spirit. So it's almost like you put too much on yourself because of the failure, you know? Don't give up. Like, all is good. But there is something that you need to go within this place and heal it. And to heal in there. And to let this go. Okay, are you talking about a paid reading, Brianna? Like, what do you mean a reading? Or you want a question? Dude, that was so cool. That was the coolest that's the coolest past life reading I've ever done. No wonder why I felt so called to do it. Crazy. Yeah, see, devil and curse. They were like, or devil and possessed. They felt like y'all were devils. Okay, what's your question? It was for Kim. It was for Kim, dude. It was freaking magical as shit. It was like 1680 in Scotland, and she was like fairy magic type shit, like a So you don't have a question? You just want a card? Let me get a card for Brianna.